The omega isolation. The omega exists under the hierarchy, and as such has no sense of personal power, no sense of agency, no sense of control of their own lives, no sense of being respected or honored by others, no authority, and a lacking the capacity to understand and conform enough to be a beta. So, in this isolated position, a society affords the omega a great deal of freedom within certain boundaries. That is, if you can imagine in certain movies, there are people that can get away with saying unbelievably terrible things. It's like, oh no, it's just that, fill in the blank, they don't know what they're saying. And so you have an unbelievable amount of freedom and lack of responsibility for your actions if you're perceived to be depowered enough. To reference again a fantastic movie for educational purposes, in the film The Princess Bride, after Buttercup has abandoned Wesley and begun the process of marrying Prince Humperdinck, she has a nightmare. And in that nightmare, she's walking to the aisle, and she hears this screaming, horrible noise of someone calling her terrible names and throwing things at her. And it's this old woman. And because she's the crone, and she's presumably the witch that lives outside town, and no one will talk to her, and you only go to her for your most criminal business, since nobody wants to talk to her or deal with her, she really has virtual freedom to say whatever she wants to say. The highest level of complaint, sometimes even the highest level of agency, of freedom to do things, not agency in terms of affecting other situations. Uh, but because there's no sense of responsibility or consequence, the ability to say and complain any way they want to. Um, Analogous maybe to somebody with a mental illness, somebody who can't control what they're saying. Oh, it's just so and so, they don't know what they're saying. But it creates a virtual inability to climb if somebody wants to climb from that descended, isolated position of alpha to the position of beta. Now, there's a lot of social training that goes into that that makes it virtually impossible, and the person has to give up a lot of that freedom of speech that goes with being totally disempowered from society. There is a legend of a lost Dutchman mine in the Superstition Mountains of Arizona, a mine where untold riches are hidden. And, there's frequent, over the years, many frequent attempts to go find it. On one, there was a television documentary about it. I forget the name and anything else, but they found an entrance to a mine in an isolated canyon. But the entrance of the mine, think about this, was 4 or 5 stories up a cliff. And somebody built a partial, so there's a hole 5 stories up where somebody might crawl in. There's a partial rusted metal ladder that comes about halfway down. So you think to yourself, well, somebody used to get into this, but how do they get into this? And so you may have already figured out that this ladder is a metaphor for hierarchy, metaphor for that A-B continuum. Now, how in the world does somebody get up a sheer cliff, say 25 feet? Now, there was a great deal of secrecy in the old days and in the present days about where somebody keeps their hidden gold, cave, mine, stope, whatever it is. And so you'd have to be cautious someone is following you or not following you. So you might bring with you another 25-foot ladder. But if you are being followed by people that want to jump your claim jumpers, then maybe you shouldn't bring a big 25-foot ladder with you to link up with the other one. So maybe that's dangerous. So that's dangerous, that possible. The other one is that somebody wants to get into that mine so badly That they're willing to risk climbing it by hand or with, spikes or whatever, knowing that they could fall. And by the way, if you fall and break your leg out in the middle of these hidden canyons, you might die before anybody could find you. If you broke your leg and could not get up and transport yourself out. So it's all super dangerous, is what I'm saying. There's no method from the ground to the half ladder that is not fundamentally dangerous, that does not involve risk to your life. Dragging around a ladder risks your life. Is people that, if they go, oh, that must mean you've got access to a mine somewhere, they follow you, they kill you, they use your ladder. Okay, so that's one way that you're risking your life. Secondly, if you're going to try and climb it, the risk that you fall is enormous. And so, can a sigma rise into the alpha beta hierarchy? I don't know. But if they can, it's as dangerous and as mysterious as getting into that mine. Because there's not a natural flow between those things. A beta has in their DNA. There's these rules we follow. There's these alphas we're subordinate to. I get to break rules, but I see some boundaries and I stay within it. A person that doesn't have it inside of themselves is going to fail at that miserably over and over and over again. And like I said, as much as one would seem to hate every aspect of being an omega, there's things that would be hard to give up. On the periphery of many, many cultures, you have omegas that are trying to fit in, trying to be part of what's happening. And you see someone, are they trying their best? Are they not trying their best? I have no idea. And they do absurd things. They get in fights at work. They use a parking lot as a bathroom. While the leader of the hierarchy is talking, they blurt out a whole separate conversation. And you say, I'm not going to correct them. They don't know any better. But when they do those things, they're saying, I can't really let go of these sigma behaviors. You would think that there's no benefit to being a sigma. But the ability to say whatever you want and get away with it. The ability to do almost anything you want. As long as you don't want responsibility or authority, as long as you don't want security, as long as you're willing to live without those things. And be seen as a victim, be seen as a charity case. The amount of guilt-free, unacceptable behavior is quite high. And that's the thing that is hard, the 25-foot gap that's almost impossible to reach, because someone would have to be willing to give those things up in trade for beta behavior that internalizes cultural values, controls your speech and behavior, enough to be the lowest ranking beta, a beta omega, and not just omega. Thank you. Hope that's been clear, instructive. Please like and subscribe. Have a fantastic day.